Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to another amazing Facebook, Instagram, YouTube Live. And I am here with David Woodbridge, and we'll get all into it in a minute. So welcome to another Saturday.
Elias, thank you for having me. This is great.
Of course. We're going to say hello to people in a little bit as soon as everybody starts coming in. And we're on Instagram and we're on Facebook and YouTube. So everybody come on in, say hello, and let me know where you guys are from and where you're watching from. We've got people on YouTube and Facebook. Guys, don't be shy. I see you in here. Come on and say Leslie, what are you doing, Mama? She got her shoulder replaced. She's like the bionic woman.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Gloria. Calling Gloria.
Hey, Gloria.
Hello, Gloria. Good to see you. Evelyn, hello. Thank you for being here. Beth, hello. How are you? Kalisperas Fashionton, hello. Eleni, all the way from Greece. She stayed up. And it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 1, 2. What is it? 3 o'clock in the morning there?
Wow.
Crazy. So, black and blue in Florida.
Oh, poor Leslie.
I'm glad I caught you here too. Thank you for being here. So, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. All right, thank you. 2 o'clock in the morning in Greece. So we're going to talk a little bit about David. We're going to talk about what he does and why this is such a special evening with our chat tonight. And for those of you that don't know, David and I met back in 2019.
Yes.
2019.
Yes.
Why does that seem like ages ago now?
I know, it does.
Doesn't it?
It does.
It will be, it's just crazy to know that I've known you almost 6 years.
I agree. Yeah.
Crazy. Anyway, so David and I met at the John Holland and the late Janet No Havoc. We did advanced mediumship training for a whole week, and it was intense. It was at the
intense. Yeah.
The ARC, the Edgar Casey Foundation in Richmond, Virginia. So we met a lot of people there. Rhiannon Archuleta, Susan Fuller. We also had Sherry Dworkin Smith and a bunch of others, and several of them I've had them on here. So it's been crazy. So do you want to tell people? I'm going to say that what you do is unique. There are not many people that combine astrology and numerology, and it's called Astro-Numerology, everybody. So David is an Astro-Numerologist. So tell me what the difference, I know, but tell everybody, what's the difference between a numerology reading and an astrology reading?
Well, it's honestly two different ancient modalities. They're much like stepsisters because there's numerology and astrology, and there's astrology and numerology, believe it or not. So numerology on its own is what I view as your birth certificate name is what I use, and your date of birth. So for me, it would be July 13th, 1966, those two pieces of information gets you really far down the road on numerology. On astrology, it's place and time. So your name doesn't fall into it. So July 13th, and I happen to have been born at 8:21 a.m. in Morristown, New Jersey. Okay, that is what makes up the astrology side. And what is so cool when you put the two together is they actually confirm one another. So you have two separate data points, and as they say, energy is energy, and it gives a deeper reading. I can point to my own numerology, and I can track it all the way over to astrology, and it gives. And the depth is, you can go at a much deeper depth on certain, questions that come up. So when I do a reading, the best readings are when someone is, we'll say, is in a point of decision. There's something going on with career, relationships. Do I move? It could be financial. And those are the questions that I can, deep dive into both and really come up with some pretty solid answers. And then pinpoint, not in a reading, I'm here to teach you how to do numerology and astrology, but I can pinpoint where I found this information. So, and I provide reports afterwards so they can look at it. So it all kind of comes together quite nicely, usually.
Do you think that, so what I'm hearing you say is it's really a synergy of these two?
Yes.
Do you feel that there can ever be a conflict between the two? Like one says one thing and the other says another, and you're like, well, which do I go with? For example, so I don't have a name on my birth certificate.
Right.
I have, for all of you that don't know, literally on my adoption papers, it says the unbaptized bastard child of.
Oh my. Okay.
Nice. So
yeah.
But I would have to go with my adopted name. Is that correct?
That is correct. You have to go with the name that that's the energy you're putting out. Right.
The energy that I'm putting out, right?
Right.
And that is first, middle, and last name, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Hello, Beth, and hello, Nancy. Thank you for being here. And hello, Adventures of Lynn and Albert Moreno. Hello, how are you? How's everybody doing? All right. So astrology will teach us the basics of the planets, the signs and all the different what's in what sign, and
yes. You can, okay, so let me just jump in if that's okay. Either I can do a very in-depth reading with either of them on their own. Okay, there is a lot of depth there, and but together the synergies are incredible. So when you ask me, is there any differences? It's more to me. So I have had a lot of practice, hundreds and hundreds of readings now of coordinating the two. But yeah, you can get some different information, which just to me enhances the reading. It doesn't necessarily take away from it. It is about confirmation, of course, but it's as much about giving depth to these questions and then looking and seeing why, right? So that's, I would say, more of how I view it. I've never had anything where they don't match per se, or the two are just not jiving. Yeah, so to me, it hasn't been an issue.
So when you think about it, when people are like, well, why are we talking about renewal? Well, think about everybody. It's spring. We're renewing. It's kind of like, this is a really good time for reading as you're stepping into the spring to say, okay, you kind of had some, I hate saying New Year's resolutions, but you had these things that you wanted to do. You did them or you didn't do them, or they didn't work out. Now, how do we move forward? How do you move into it? Oh my God, all the way from the East Coast.
Oh, Kathleen.
Hello, my friend. And Jody, hello. And Jenny, hello. And Regina, thank you guys for being here. And Kiana, hello. Thank you for being here. And Marmo Hodges, you hopped over to Instagram. You're all over the place now. So
yes,
if we're looking at a name,
yes,
and I give you my name and I give you my birth date, and you give me, this isn't like a little half an hour reading, right? You're like really doing a lot of depth into the set.
I do.
Or so, right?
Yeah. So when I do a reading, basically what I do is I actually have, for the numerology side, I do a lot of manual calculations first. I do use software. I mean, it is 2024, 2025, right? But what I do is the manual aspect. I get a lot of energy, and I really get into the aura of the person by actually writing. Okay. So I have a manila sheet, just a normal folder. And I write on the front, I write on the back, I print the reports, and I see if they match, and they almost always do. And if they're not, that's a good check for me. But then I get into a number of different things that you may not think of. So, for example, I can do a whole character analysis on your first consonant and vowel of your name, or in your case, a vowel and a consonant, right? So I can tell you whether you're a leader, an introvert, an extrovert. I can tell you if you work great in groups or should work on your own. Just top scale. That's a nice little way of working with an employee or an employer, quite frankly, to give them just a little bit of a taste. Okay, is this person good for this particular job? Just as one example. And I can get into a number of different other things with this. There is just so much depth with it, but we're talking about renewal. And so what to me, when I look at, and I'll start with numerology, because numerology was my first love. I do love astrology. My natal chart says I'm an astrologer, and I am. So, but with numerology, I would start by looking at your personal year. And so we talked about New Year resolutions. Well, you know what? I'd probably say, depending on what that is and what year you're in, some years are not particularly great for starting new things, quite frankly. Some things need to be left. Like a 2-year is not always the best year to start something. Hopefully in your 1 year you started something, and a 2 years to kind of sit back and let it just mesh a little bit, let it just bake. And you can be working on it, but it's a different type of year. But just as one example, I never just do in an annual reading just the personal year. So I go through all the fundamentals. So it's kind of like in a psychic reading, they're looking for confirmation that you know what you're talking about. To me, I get into the whole character of the person. So in numerology, that's your life path. And life path is the path that you're on. And it tells me all about what's going on, the challenges, why you're here, what we should be looking at. From there, another subset, which we don't talk about too much on here, is I do look at the expression, and that's what you're putting out into the world, right? And I look at the numerology of all that. So, for instance, I'm a life path 6, you're a life path 5, if I'm right, correct? Okay, I'm a 33-6. But you can be a 42-6, you can be a 24-6, you can be a 15-6, and all of those.
I like to think that I'm a 42, 22, 36. Sorry,
I would agree.
I just had to. Right.
Yeah. So I actually dig down into all of that, and there is a difference with each one of them. So let's just for fun, let's take the 15. The 15 is actually karmic debt. And so what is karmic debt? A debt is, those are lessons that you didn't learn in a previous life, and you're bringing them into this life. And the 15-6 is the angel devil number. And what does that mean? Well, a 6 is all about helping. Usually you're very family oriented. You are there to maybe counsel. You are there to really be the foundational person. A 15-6 is saying, do I serve myself or do I serve the collective, meaning whoever that is, your family, the person, whoever you're there for. And that is karmic debt. So a 6 is kind of expected to serve, part of serving your family and what have you. They're not necessarily there to serve themselves. And that is the difference between that 1 and a 5 structure, right? Okay. So I get down in the nitty gritty of all of that. Hi, Delora.
Nice to meet another 33-6. Hello, Lisa. Mandy, good to see you. Good to see you. So explain that to me for those people that are like, oh my God, he's so nice. I really like him.
Oh,
so nice.
Thank you.
Mine is good, guys. So explain that, because I am a 5 life path.
Yes.
But this year is a 3 for me, which is different, right?
Yeah. Your personal year is a 3. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Correct.
Yes. Right.
But I don't have like a 15-6 or a 3-5. Do I?
No, and I didn't do your numerology to know what made up that 3, right? So it could be a 1 and a 2. It could be a 2 and a 1. Right? Oh, it could be, or it could just be 3. Okay, just so you know, it could be any of those. What I'm saying with that is just with the life path, we'll just talk about this for a minute. Okay, let me just see here really
I
quick.
think I'm in your system.
I think you are. Yes, I know I've done a reading for you. So when we look at a life path, just to review a little bit, it's a broad outline of your opportunities, your challenges, and your lessons, which you're going to encounter in this life. Okay. So what does that mean? So what we're doing, first off, we're going to take your date. That's where we're getting our life path from. Okay, right off the bat. So, and what we're doing is just adding up all the numbers of the date of your birth. And that should come up, I would hope, probably to a two-digit number, more than likely, right? So,
12/27, 1964.
right. So whatever that number is. So let's just take, just for fun, a 21. Okay. 21, think of 20, because the 2 is in the tens. I don't want to get too technical here. And then the 1 is the single one. In that case, a 2 is going to be much more prevalent for you than the 1. Okay. So it's like any number in numerology with a 0 behind it, I always say the volume's on high. So that's going to come through more. And so at 2, you're talking about diplomacy. You're talking about working with people more so. The 1 is singular. And it can be an individual. It can talk about freedom, which I know is big in your chart. As I remember, the 5 is very important with that. But so that can help you. But that 2, in working with groups, you do quite well. So if it's a 21, for example, that would be very representative of the 3 of your life path, if that happens to be your number. Now let's just say it's reversed. That 1 would come in more so. The 1 is singular. It's leadership. It's not necessarily great for relationships, but it can have them. But it's on the path, it's going down the path, and that 1 has a 0 behind it, right? And then you'd have a 2, just as an example. I don't want to confuse people, but the order of the numbers does change the definition somewhat of the life path that you have.
So what we're doing is we're taking my birth date, 12/27/1964. So 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 7 plus 1 plus 9 plus 6 plus 4 equals 32. So when David is saying, whatever it is, so I'm a 3 and a 2, but then you add those 2 together, it's a 5. But he's looking at that digit, the 3 and 2, because that's important.
Exactly. And the order makes sense. So we're getting down, and for those, fundamentally, there's the life path, the expression, your heart's desire, and basically your birth date. Those are the fundamental numbers of numerology. Okay. So my expression is a 7. So that makes me an analyst. It's also a very spiritual number. And just to give you, I'll use myself as an example, but maybe that'll be easier. 7s are spiritual. They're very psychic. There's also very analytic. We tend to like to have time. Very. Before this, I was an MBA finance. So just to give you an idea, all of that comes through. Okay. And 6s, and do your numbers work well together. So I'm a 6 life path. I'm a 7 expression. It's like oil and water. And I always say, when I have 2 adult children, when they come home, I love you. Now go away. Leave me alone. It's that type of thing, because 7s need time on their own. Right. Just as one example. But let's look at, I'm going to stick with the life path for just a minute. Okay. So part of that life path, you have things called pinnacles. And so we're talking, when I said, life path is your broad outline of opportunities, you've got challenges and lessons. The pinnacles are basically cycles within your life path. So when you're looking at this, I look, and it kind of gives a little flavor and characteristic to that part of your life. Okay, so that I look at, because that is very telling. I look for karmic debt. Did you bring anything over from the last life? And a lot of the questions will tell me and where you are in the cycle. A lot of times when I'm doing that, I'll say, at 67, maybe you've already worked through your karmic debt, which could very, very well be, right? Or maybe they're still having problems. We also have, and I don't want to throw too much here, but cycles. Cycles are in 3 stages. You've got early or first, you're learning about yourself. You've got second, midlife. You're developing who you are, your challenges and your lessons. And you have the final cycle, which is your mastery. Hopefully you've mastered this. So when you put all this together, a lot of the times, literally, when you look at numerology, what it really does show, we're all working on ourselves, usually up until the point of 45, 50. Sounds like we're getting pretty old, and I guess we are, but the truth of the matter is, by then, and some people stay in that cycle their whole life, and others move on, and usually 55 or after, you're ready to really, you've mastered your lessons, usually. Not always, but usually. So they call that, now you're ready to use them and work with the collective in whatever means that is for you. So just to give you a bit of a all the way through aspect to numerology. But I really analyze a person. When people come to me, I specialize in, really helping people down their life path. And so when we look at this, I get into the reasons of why. I have a lot of intuitive hits, and what comes up that people don't realize beyond their questions is there's usually a theme. And that's where the personal years come in, that's where the cycles and life path come in, and that's where a lot of the karmic deck comes in. And there are many, many more characteristics in numerology. You can do such in-depth work. You can do the month, the day. We can look at the psychological, how you're thinking. There's just so many different areas. So when I do a reading, I usually ask for 3 really great questions, and I might even have to help you refine them, because I'm not going to give you a street name or where this is going to happen, but you'd be surprised what people will give you. I am going to basically try and help you so I can really help you answer whatever this burning question or questions are. And now, you want to flip over to astrology for just a minute?
Yeah, I was just going to say hello to Chris. Hello. Selena says, I'm hearing my voice again. David, I don't know about your speaker.
Okay, I haven't changed anything. Should I
just turn it down just a little bit?
Okay.
Marvel Hodges says, oi, it's a lot of information for her. So Selena said she took her birthday, 7/31/1981. She's a 30, so the 3 plus the O, there, 3 is your number.
Excellent. There you go.
Says, I understand cycles, but what do you call throw everything out and start over?
Rebirth.
How many times can you have a rebirth, David? I mean, it's like
every new year. I don't know. Usually numerology, you're looking at your birthday, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Hello, Elias and David. This is fascinating. Are there any classes that you're offering?
I am not at the minute, but I hope to in the future.
We'll make sure, everyone.
Okay.
Yeah. Laundry. That's funny. That's a beautiful bouquet. I love that. That's pretty. Lilacs. So nice. So, okay. So going over to astrology. So,
yes.
So you all know that 12, 27, 64 for me, which makes me a Capricorn with a Virgo rising and a Scorpio moon.
Wow. Okay.
Thank you. I feel the same way.
Oh, I bet you do. Okay, so well, here's what I'm going to talk about from a renewal perspective. Okay. The first thing that comes to mind, we were just talking a little bit about personal years in numerology and how, even though I look at your personal year, I look at everything. Well, in astrology, the equivalent would be your solar return. So, and what that is every year, your sun returns to the same position it was in your natal chart. Okay. And so what I do is I look at what that is. So where it doesn't necessarily return to the same house, it might, but it definitely, so depending on where that lands, that's the starting point. And a solar return can really give you a pretty good idea of how that year, what's going to be happening in that year. Now, along with that, what I do is obviously wherever the planets are when that solar return hits, I'm going to be looking to see what all that's about. So let's just say, for example, someone had, they were wondering about some sort of a relationship. It can be romantic. Okay. So we know if anyone on here knows the rising sign, well, think of a natal chart, a circle in 12 pieces, representing the houses. So where number 1 would be your rising sign. That's also called the ascendant. I go straight across, and straight across is number 7. That's the descendant. Whatever the sign of the descendant is representative usually of what you're looking for in a relationship. Okay, so now characteristically, maybe it's freedom, believe it or not. Maybe it is you're really, this person could be a Cancer, possibly. So that's a very loving, caring relationship. It really is very interesting and rather accurate, but I don't stop there. Usually I'm looking in the 7th house, which is relationships, and I want to see if there are any planets in there. And if there are, that will further define, what could be. And if there's a Saturn, sometimes it's a really long relationship, or sometimes people never get married when their Saturn is in the 7th house. It just really kind of depends. So you have so many different options available, and within your natal chart to really magnify and really look at. So another thing that I do, and it's very common, I look at everything. I look at your sun, moon, your rising. I'm going to look at, where everything is placed on the chart. For me, most of my planets are from the 10th to a 12th house, which means I'm kind of here to serve the collective. That's usually where that is. Below the line, houses 1 through 6, usually you're working on yourself. And a lot of times that also means you're more potentially an introvert than you are an extrovert. Just depends, If you kind of come up above there and go like 7 through 9, it's a relationship, situation. You're transforming yourself, or you're working on relationships, or you're totally changing who you are, or like a rebirth. So that tells me loads as well. And of course, the individual planets and where they're located. You could go on and on and on. I always say, to me, astrology is like 3D. You're getting so many different hits and things you can take a look at.
Laura says, where do we get labels for triple Scorpios? I may have accidentally married one.
Oh, my daughter's a triple Scorpio, and she's getting married. I don't know exactly how to answer that. It really just depends. Maybe we can do a compatibility report for you, or a history report. That type of thing.
Let me share this, because I always like people to get a visual. So hang on one second. So here's a chart. Can you see this, David?
Oh, look at you. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So just tell me if I'm pointing correctly. So here's where you start.
Yeah, that would be your rising sign.
Okay.
And if you go straight across, there with Pisces.
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay, but what's interesting, so see where 7, that's in Pisces, is where, so it could be that you're looking in a relationship for characteristics of a Pisces to start with. Now notice how your 7th house is split between Aries and Pisces, right? So that is something to consider. If you had a planet up on the upper side of that chart, and it was more in the, looking at Aries and that type of thing, I would be, that is different than looking at, say, Pisces toward the bottom of it. So just to give you a bit of an idea.
Okay. And then do these things mean stuff?
Yes, those are aspects. So some of the major aspects I look for are, like that one major one going up and down there is an opposition. And I look at those. And what that has to do with is you have a decision to make. It's kind of like a push or pull in an opposition situation. Okay. I look at conjunctions. Yeah. And it shows. I look at conjunctions. So what are conjunctions? If you have any planets and it looks like your 12th house, you might have a conjunction there. They're relatively close, usually in one house. A lot of the power from those planets is in one house, and that is probably, if you have a lot of that in one particular house, that is the house that you a lot of times lead with, because that's where the center of power is and how that relates, just as another idea. I look at planets that square one another. A lot of those are the ones that are kind of force a decision. There are other things like trines that are very friendly and nice, but it's, we learn life in lessons and to be challenged. And so looking at oppositions and squares and conjunctions are a good way to look at those, just as one example.
And Jenny, I was going exactly where you were going. I was like, conjunction, junction, what's your function? You're lucky I didn't say, oh, look, Uranus is stuck in Pluto. Anyway, so here's a good opportunity, guys. Do you guys have, any of you have questions for David? Anything about astrology or neurology? Neurology. Any neurology question?
Yeah, I can't help you there. Yeah.
Or if you have any anything that you want to know about how do you combine the two, or what is it for this season about renewal? What's a good thing to look at for renewal when looking at the chart or looking at your numerology? Now is a good time to find out on Instagram or on Facebook and YouTube. So just pop them in there if you want. But Delora brings up a good point. For a triple Scorpio, how do you handle when things can get I have a good friend that's a triple Scorpio, and I always have to step lightly.
Yes.
And really be cognizant that I am aware of their emotions. And my friend is a dear friend, and I love her to pieces, but I'm always like, I always will make sure that I'm not so reactive, that I really stop and think right before I'm always proactive. And I always check in, like, how are you feeling? What's going on? Did that make sense to you? I will always, because I know that they're just that this individual that I'm speaking of, her intuition is so keen. Like, she can tell you, she's like, don't go down this street. I want to take a different path. I'm like, okay. And then we heard on the radio or on the TV that there was a shooting around that time. And she felt it. She felt the energy of how in tune she is. And Chicago is where we were living, and it was a lot of energy for her. So she had to move out of the city because it was a lot. So Gina has a question.
Sure.
My birthday is 4/1/1961. So that adds up to a 22. So I put that to a 4.
Okay, so when we're talking about 22, 22 is a master number. And here's the secret. Okay, first of all, I've done readings. I had one reading, I remember this so well. He was so excited. He knew he had a master number. The thing is, you have to understand, a master number is all about service. You didn't win the lottery. You're here to serve others. Rarely do, even with a birthday, when you have a life path of 22, people step into their master numbers later in life. It's like I was talking about earlier. You finally figure out why you're here and how to serve the collective. It's rare when you really just step right into a 22. A 22 is a master builder. So that takes some ability to all sorts of, I would say, different personnel and qualities. I have a 22 as well. I have a few, frankly. So you're probably starting out using the 4. Now, when you're looking at numerology, it says not to reduce the 22. And that is correct when you're doing that. But the flip side of it is you didn't come out of the womb as a 22. You came out with a 4. And until you develop what you need to really utilize that 22, you'll be more like a 4. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Let us know, Gina. Here's what Delora said. So, Delora, I'm a fun bag of tricks. Master numbers 11, 22, and 33.
Yes.
Plus, Chiron's in Aries in the 7th house, retrograde. Thoughts and comments?
Well, Delora, I'm going to tell you what I tell a lot of people. I don't do readings so quick because there's more to you. Okay? Quite frankly. And you can, psychics can do that, mediumship, you can do that. But with this, I do not want to lead anyone down the wrong path. I have, on top of the master numbers you have, I have 44 and 88. And as far as Chiron and Aries, that can be, it really, I'd have to look at the whole chart to give you a real answer. So I apologize. I'm not trying to put you off, but I'm not going to guide, I need a lot more information, quite frankly.
And she's got all of it. She's got it all written down.
Of course she does.
She's a Virgo. She's got it down.
Yes, yes.
So Marmo says, on March 14th, 1952, and confused. Well, my friend, I was going to type it out, but since we're right here, I'm just going to tell you that what you would do is you would take, and I'm going to do it with you, you would take the 3 plus the 1 plus the 4 plus the 1 plus the 9 plus the 5 plus the 2. That equals 25. So when David was saying 25, you're a 2 and a 5, right?
Which
oh, look, whatever that was. Woo! Okay. Yay! You're a 2 and a 5. Thumbs up. So 2 and a 5. So that is a 7.
Yes.
7. But you want to look at the 2 piece and the 5 piece as well, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's correct.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And Kathleen says, Jimmy says hi. Thank you. I love ha. I love ha. Okay. And Angela says hers is 29.
Which is an 11.
Which is an 11, right?
Yes, and that's another master number, and it qualifies in the same light. So people can be born with these master numbers, and you should keep them as master numbers. But chances are you are actually living more of a 2 life unless you're old enough and have the experience and understanding to know what it is to have a master number 11. Okay, they're numbers. The master numbers are numbers that you work into. Okay, and 11 is a very highly spiritual number, believe it or not, and it can be a little bit of a wicked number to kind of get used to. My last pinnacle is an 11, and I went from and I was laid off from my last employment right then, and the energy is really, really different, and it's something at least I had to get used to. So very interesting.
Elizabeth, good to see you. Elizabeth said she's 37. You don't look a day over 36.
Yeah.
So she's a 1, right?
She is a 10-1, yes. Yeah. Yes.
10-1.
And okay, so Elizabeth, not having done anything with you at 37, those are 2 odd numbers, right? And a lot of times when you have the odd numbers, I can tell right now you probably are very creative, and I bet you can be a little bit analytical. And because we bring it down to a 10, that's a 1 with a 0 behind it, I bet you're a pretty good leader, is what I'm thinking. So it'd be interesting to see if any of that makes any sense to you, or if you go along. Now, there's more to your numerology than just that, a lot more. But just right off the top, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So,
and Kathleen Loso, the dogs are going to bark in a second. So just to let you know, there you go. Kathleen said, her birthday is 6/10/1958, which means she's a 30.
Oh, okay. Okay.
She's a 3, right?
She's a 3. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. 3s are very creative, and usually pretty good with communication. They can be scattered, which is something you have to watch with a 3. And it's something that, it just depends. But again, there's so much more to your numerology. It's cautious. It's fun to do these, but I say it very in a cautionary tone that there's so much more that makes you up. So don't hook your whole life on this, what we're doing here. I would want to do a full numerology, markup in a table for you, and to really take a look at, what everything is. But
hi, Sharon. Good to see you. Thank you. Mandy says, thank you. Thank you. This is the best explanation of the 2B I've ever heard. Makes things so much clearer. Excellent.
Oh, great.
Now, Eleni in Greece, 181183. So, guys, in Greece, they in Europe usually they put day the day first and then the month. So, if we were to do this,
You keep the 11. You don't bring it down to a 2. So
oh,
you
you
wouldn't
don't?
do no. If there's a master number there, you keep it as a master
I didn't
number.
even know that. Look at that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
learned something today. So 11 plus 1 plus 8 plus 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 3 equals 41.
Yes. 41.
So she's a
41
5.
5.
So she's a
Yes.
5. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what you mean when we say, so I'm a 32 5.
Correct. And see, 32 and 23, I can distinguish those pretty much differently. I mean, 32, that 3-0, if you will, plus a 2 is it can be very creative, and I know you are. Okay, just as one thing. But the 2 coming down, oh yes, you are. The 2 coming down that's that's diplomacy. You work very well with others, and that's just a given with you. So the 32 just is one thing. But again, Elias, you're a much deeper person than that number. And yeah, so and I just caution you guys to, there is so much more than just that number. So
Because I am a Scorpio moon, everybody.
yes.
So I'm much deeper.
Yeah,
much
very.
deeper with that Scorpio moon. Okay. And Regina says, you're 34/7. You always look to me like a 34/7/23. Good. She's 34/7. That's cool. So this is fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. And I'm going to tell everybody, guys, if you want to book a session with David, go to his website, www.readingswithdavid, very simple and easy, readingswithdavid.com, and you'll find all the information there that you need. You can contact them. You have a contact page, right, where they just...
I do. Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And the session is usually how long?
I usually do about an hour. What I do, and I ask for 3 really good questions. And I usually, if you need help, defining those or refining them, I'm happy to do so. After the session, I provide reports, both numerology and astrology reports to you, and they're all about you. And if you have a question after that or need any explanation, I'm happy to help. The one thing I would say is, especially with the reports and what I tell you, I do my best to keep the numerology and astrology lingo down, because I'm not here to teach it to you if you're getting a reading. I want to be able to answer your question. But you can always reference the reports, and I'm happy to help you in any other way I can.
I love it. I love it. And guys, just to let Gabriella Timokanic Posisha, we have 2 Greeks on. She said late, but hello, David and Elias.
Oh, hi.
I'm actually seeing Gabriella coming up in a couple days. I'm so excited.
Oh, nice.
I'm 41 indeed this year. I see you are, but you don't look it. You don't look. I don't think you look your age at all, Eleni. Not at all. So I want to share this with you guys. First of all, next week is our retreat weekend at Skamania Lodge. So we will not be here next Saturday. And the following Saturday, which is April 5th, we won't be here either, because it's springtime. People want to get out. So we are now moving. Don't go anywhere, Kathleen. We are now moving the lives from Saturday to Wednesday. So Saturday to Wednesday. Yes, Chris is going to be there too. And Lisa's going to be there. We've got lots of people coming. Dolores going to be there in spirit. Jenny will be there in spirit. So it's going to be exciting. So Wednesday evening is when we're going to be doing our live. So make sure that you start joining us. That's April 2nd. And the lovely and amazing Kira Schaefer, she's the co-founder of As You Wish Publishing. She will be with us, and we're going to be talking a little bit about this. So there's like 4 spots left, I think. 4 spots left. We are going to go on a retreat in Iowa, and we're going to express your soul through writing. So what Kira and I are doing is we're going to be doing a little bit of experiential exercises, and then we're going to clear away the pieces don't allow your creative energy to flow. So you're going to write a chapter in a book that Kira's going to publish, and you're going to be an author in a compilation book. So, and that's all included in the price, the food, the lodging, and being in the book. So if you are interested, there are 4 spots left, and Regina's coming on that one. I love it. So come join us. Come join us. And I'm going to mention this too. April, and guys, if you're not signed up for my newsletter, please sign up because I'm going to post it. I'll post it on the 1st, but you want to sign up for the newsletter so you get it. Ginger, who's also going to be on the retreat, on April 18th, Ginger and I are going to be doing essential oils, crystals, and cards. So there's a nice card, there's the crystals, there's the oils. So we're going to be having some fun on Friday. So come join us for that. And then it gets even more exciting. Then you got that. And then please hold callers. I'm trying to find it. Talking about astrology, Don Silver is going to be with us, and there it is. And Stars in Your Bowl, Self-Care Astrology, Ancient Healing for All Skill Levels. So you're going to learn about your zodiac sign and how it connects to your body and wellness. And then astrology-based self-care tools, herbs, gems, nutrition, and more, and personalized insights for you. It's $40. You're going to sign up, and once you sign up, you'll get a Zoom link, and you will then email Dawn your birth date, birthplace, exactly what we talked about, birth time, and she's going to go over that with you, which is going to be super exciting. It's a lot of information, like David was hinting to, but it's really, 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 really cool. And is anybody in California, or you have nothing to do Mother's Day weekend? If you're in California, please come join us for, where is it? There it is. This is high tech, David. Come join us at New Living Expo. Diane Ray is a moderator. She's going to be doing a panel on Friday, May 9th, with Radley Valentine, Kimberly Meredith, Kelly Sullivan, Vincent Jenna, and Rachel Corpus. These are all well-known people. And me. I'm like really shocked, and honored that I'm going to be on this platform with these amazing luminaries. And the cool thing is, obviously Bradley's very, 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 very busy, and just moved into a new home and everything. But I'm going to see if everybody else can be on my podcast. So I'm very excited about all that. And if you are coming, then on Saturday, is it Saturday? No, yeah, it's Saturday. Oh my God, David, this is so much. If I can find it here, I'm telling you, it gets a little crazy. We will be doing this right here. So I'm going to be doing the F you to thank you, the mindset principle, a workshop at New Living Expo. So you pay a ticket to get in, and then there's tickets for the talks, and then I'm doing a book signing, and that's in San Rafael, California. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, it's going to be really cool. And then something that I haven't really announced. Are you ready, everybody? We've got it. It should be up by Monday. I'm doing something called the Mind Trapper Quiz. And this is a free quiz when you go to the website. Are you a people pleaser? Are you a fixer? Are you a perfectionist? Are you a control freak? Well, this is going to happen. So I got to change the QR code. But it's going to happen, and it's very exciting. So I'm super, super excited. And based on this, coming up soon, May 1st, I don't have a flyer yet. May 1st, we're going to do a workshop. And the coolest thing ever, are you ready? A culmination of everything that I do is coming up in September. And if I could find the gosh darn thing, I'd be really happy. It is going to be this. We're going to do the Mind Trappers Weekend Retreat. And we're going to be talking about psychic development. We're going to talk about personal development. We're going to talk about the mindset principles and mind trappers, breaking free from limiting patterns and stepping into your power. I am so excited about this weekend retreat. It's on the website. If you want to go, we are doing early bird special through May 1st. So come join us. And food, lodging, and the retreat is included. That's all that I've got to announce for right now. So that's a lot. It's a lot.
Very nice.
Thank you. And again, everybody, if you can, please go to www. It's right there, guys. www. I have to put it in here again. www.readings. Oopsie. Readings with David. Oh, come on, Elias.
.com. Yep.
There.
Thank you.
There you go. David, thank you so much for being on here, and you're welcome to come back whenever you want.
Great.
Everybody, I hope you guys found this fun, and I hope you found it informative. Please book a session with David. You'll be really truly amazed with all the information that is given to you guys.
Yes. Thank you for having me, and I enjoyed this. It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. Regina's like, you're keeping us busy. Yes, I am. Because it's all about growth. It is all about growth, and it's all about moving forward. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Delora. And David, thank you. Hold the phone.
Thank you.
Okay. Remember, we are here to connect. And when we connect, we educate. And when we educate, we grow. There is unity in community. From our hearts to yours. Be well, everybody. Take care. Thanks for being here.